Hello everyone, I'm Stram, and welcome to the first episode of a new mini-series on my channel. I am going to be playing through the Acolyte class for the next major update of my mod, the Stram's classes. Usually when I do a new class for Stram's classes, I have a little playthrough that I do where I run through the game with the class and do balanced checks to all the weapons and all the gear and everything. So that is basically what this series is going to be. I'm going to be recording it and posting it to YouTube. So, hello everyone. There isn't going to be a whole lot of actual progression in this. So you might see that I have the Dragon Lens mod on, and I'll put a display of all the mods that I have for this currently enabled on the screen. But basically, we're going to be going through the game, not really caring about if we're cheating or not, and testing the balancing of weapons in progression, as well as drop rates and stuff like that. So it's not going to be, it's sort of just going to be a relaxed series that will probably progress pretty quickly. The start of the game is always an important part that you have to make sure you can get right. That's Crimson, so I'm not going to go that way. Where I want to use less cheating in the form of just not just giving myself gear to explore, because I have to see how well the class performs pre-gear, which is an important step. But lots of things like magic storage and general materials and stuff like that, we'll be just bringing in manually. I just gave us crafting stations for our magic storage, which I also just spawned in. So if that is sort of a big deal for you, then probably not the best series for you to watch. Otherwise, there will also be spoilers for the class and the next update. So if you're not interested in seeing any of that and want to experience the class by yourself on your own, then probably best to not watch this video either, and any of the subsequent ones. That being said, let's get started by putting some wood in here and crafting our first weapon, the Training a Thame. So, this one is ancient, so I'm going to craft another one. So the way that this is actually a good point. The way that the prefixes work for the Athames work a little bit differently than the other class prefixes, both vanilla and in the Stram's classes. So the weapons all have prefixes, and there isn't a traditionally best prefix. All of them have upsides and downsides. Wow, it's really crimson on both sides. Oh well, it's fine. So Athames are one of the weapon types. They're lumped into a group called Occult Blades, which includes both the Athames and Scythes, which we'll see one eventually. Now, how they work, Athames, is it holds out a projectile, and then from there, you swing it around, and it only deals damage while swung. I think, yeah, spawn rates are at 0, so I gotta fix that actually. There we go. Now, as you can see, if I don't, here, I'll disable this. If I don't swing it, it doesn't deal damage to them, so I have to swing it in order to do so. You can also manually activate it by right-clicking, and that will then put you into a dash, which deals extra damage and gives you a boost to mobility. So I can dash up as well as down. Now the dashes have a cooldown, and the cooldown is specific to each weapon. So for example, the cooldown for the starting one is a minute or 1 second and a half. So it also will tell you the basic stats of the velocity that you get, and the stacking lifesteal. Well, it's not really stacking. It's more like diminishing lifesteal, because the first hit will always give you the 3 lifesteal that it says, but then the next one will give you 2, and the one before that, after that, will give you 1. Until it gets to 0, in which case further hits will not give you any more lifesteal. The main focus of the class is to, or at least playstyle, is to have, it sort of mixes with magic and spells and some other kinds of weapons. I think I'm actually going to go in the snow biome. There's a scythe that we can get from chests in here, which could be useful. Another resource that the Acolytes will have is Arcturum here. Base starts at 50, and it regenerates slowly when in use. The lower your health is, the faster it will regenerate. In, like, lore, it represents a sort of magical barrier between your soul and the dark magic that you sort of will into existence. Because the whole theme with the class, as you might be able to tell with the name Acolyte, is it harnesses dark magic to sort of ward off a worse evil. That's sort of the premise of the class. So you use like dark runes to amplify your spells, and then you also get these things called vessels, which are essentially the spirits of like dark entities and demons, devils, and stuff like that, which help aid you in battle. And using them drains Arcturum. And your Arcturum can go negative. And when it's negative, you can still use it, but it goes to a certain negative minimum, which I think is typically negative your half, or negative of your total that you get. So if we have 50 right now, then our total maximum is 100, because we can go to negative 50 as well. Also, the current difficulty that we're playing at with Journey Mode is Expert. So, just gauging how some of the weapons deal. I'd say so far the training theme is doing just about as good as anyone would have expected it to. As in, not at all. It fights slimes a little better than the Vikings, but it does bats alright. Maybe the knockback could be a little better to offset the low damage. But yeah, we'll keep exploring here, see what we can get from any of this stuff. This first episode might actually be like the longest stretch of progression by itself, as we're probably just going to skip and jump around a whole bunch as we go through. I imagine most episodes will have 2 or 3 boss fights and sort of jump around in progression. Yeah, I think knockback for this thing could be adjusted. We'll collect some ores and then see what we can do. There are weapons that we can craft out of the basic ores, and depending on which ore you get, it can change what kind of weapon that you can make. So, for instance, gold will make a athame. All the original metals will make an athame. So silver, iron, copper, and gold. Now, after that, then, the other ones make scythes. And looking at our world generation, our only option for an early game scythe might be tin, which I might make to test it out and to check, and just to showcase what the scythes look like. Unless we get one in here. Nope. There is one that I believe comes from the frozen chests. I don't remember. I made it a really long time ago. It was originally an item from the 1.4.3 version of the Anarchist mod when I had started redoing Acolyte. But yeah, it didn't really turn out the best way, and I decided to start making mods differently. So that's kind of where Stram's classes and all these other mods came from. Alright, I am back at the base here, and well, we don't have a lot of gold already. We can make a gold athame. Okay, so we got a good reforge there. And then we can put this away, and then I am actually gonna see if I can pull out a platinum scythe here, so we can just show the differences between the weapons. So I'll show it on this zombie first. The athame here. We're doing some decent knockback to him, and damage too. Oh, and actually it shows another thing. So whenever you kill enemies with either athames or a scythe, it triggers an event which is called a reaping, which there is a small chance that this will happen, where when you reap an enemy, it will drop an item called protoplasm. And that is a major crafting ingredient for Acolyte. All sorts of items that you can get. Here, I'm going to give us a shine potion just so we can see a little bit better. So then the scythes, they swing a little bit differently, more like an omnidirectional sword. And typically, scythes are a little bit stronger than the athames. Not only is it platinum, so that makes it better, it's just that's typically how it is. They're a better weapon type. They seem more effective, at least. And I might have to buff some of the athames to deal with that. But they have the same abilities, so you can right-click and do a quick lunge. And I should actually also mention, when you lunge, it does increased damage as well, and you gain immunity frames. So if I turn off journey mode, God mode, right? And when I went through those, I didn't take any damage. Now it's not very long, so you'll have to either get like a cross necklace to increase its duration, or you can get other certain Acolyte items that do it. So anyway, let's see. Major progression points. Let's see. So if we take protoplasm here, we take a look at what we can make. So the first thing that you're probably going to want to go for is, and we're going to want to go for, is going to be an occult tome. That's the basis of how runes work. So we need to find the dungeon and get some protoplasm, because we need both a book and a bookcase. So you can maybe find those in underground cabins too. But then the next thing we're going to need is these stone runes. So we'll want to get some more protoplasm as well. For now, I am probably just going to make it daytime. And then, I don't know, is there a way that you can reveal the entire map with Dragon Lens? I don't think so. So we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. And by old-fashioned way, I mean teleporting around the surface of the map like this. Okay, so jungle is here. There are items that you can get in the jungle early game, and I will eventually get those so we can test their balancing. As well as the desert. I think because the jungle is here, the dungeon is going to be on the other side. Yes. I should have known that because of the snow biome. Alright. Hello! Be not afraid. You know, it may be a good idea. I should probably add a recipe for books. Just in case you get bad luck in the dungeon and don't get enough books for a bookcase. Or the occult tome. How many books does it take to make a bookcase? 10? So we need 11 total. Boop. I am going to put a sawmill in our base as well. Put these in here. Let's make a bookcase. And then an occult tome. There it is. Keen. Alright. So, the way these work is they deal damage, and then they use Arcturum to cast their spells. By default, they have a basic spell that doesn't do really anything special. So it just shoots a bolt here. And you can see it consumes Arcturum. And it has active runes and integrated runes. So active runes are ones that we actively channel. So if I get us some more protoplasm. So if we take a bunch of these and look at what we can craft. So the first 4 basic ones are the elemental runes. So there's Rune of Water, which takes coral. There is Rune of Fire, which takes torches. Rune of Earth, which is dirt. And Rune of Air, which is cloud. Rune of Air is probably the hardest one. So each rune here, the active runes, they show what modifier they give to the spells. So you can see that channeled runes for the fire add damage and modify the spells with igniting enemies at the bottom. So the damage that it does will then be added to the damage of the tome. So we put some of our torches in here. And then let's also grab dirt. We'll make the 2 runes that we can. Rune of Fire and Rune of Earth. So, this little graphic here above your head, which is only visible to you in multiplayer, will show what rune it currently has. So, if I activate the Rune of Fire, it will show a little icon there. And this shows up only when holding runes or occult tomes. So if I switch to the Scythe, then it goes away. But it comes back with a fancy little animation, which is configurable if it annoys you. There. And then when I shoot the bolt, you see it has a special display now. So if I hit this slime, it inflicts him with fire. And the runes, eventually you will be able to get multiple runes, channel up to 3 of them at one time. It requires an accessory. And now if we look at the tome here, it says we have 14 damage, and our active rune currently is fire. And then at the bottom, it also tells you how much damage you are getting from your runes. So the next up then is an integrated rune. An integrated rune is one that is built into the tome. So if, for example, we look at the Overgrowth, which is a jungle tome, it has the rune Overgrowth in it, which will summon overgrown vines when it hits an enemy. So that is our next sort of step of progression. I think there's another one. I don't remember what it is called though. But as with the other previous classes, you can sort with Recipe Browser by that weapon type. So I think we get it from floating island houses. So it might not be incraftable. Yeah, Celestial Spark. That's another one, which will sometimes create a double cast of a spell. And so as I was also saying before, eventually you will get more rune slots in which you can put either new runes in, or you can stack multiple runes of the same type, and it will increase their potency. So like the Rune of Fire, for example, when you have multiple, it will inflict fire for longer. And then the Rune of Earth, this one, it makes the spell larger and inflict more knockback, which by base, the knockback is pretty weak already. We want to see if we can hit our shots too, because our Arcturum is getting low. And actually here, when we fight these Crimson enemies, I'll show that when it gets too low, the bar turns purple, and with this soul icon on it to let you know it is currently negative, and it then starts reducing your effectiveness as an Acolyte. So you lose life slowly, and the occult lifesteal that you do is reduced by a significant amount. And then also increases your damage too. So if you're in a pinch and need a little bit of extra damage, you can drain your Arcturum below and deal a little bit more. So previously where... Oh, that might be a bug actually. Oh no, it just went positive. Previously, where this did 6 lifesteal, you can see it now does 3, which is significantly less. And the damage that the Soul Reaping does to your health is proportional with your max life. So right now it's not really doing a lot, but no matter what stage of the game you are at, it will kill you in the same amount of time. Which, right now the chances of that are pretty low. But that's because our Arcturum is so low. Once your Arcturum starts to get higher, and you get like negative 150, it can really, really kill you. Now there is compatibility with Census in the mod, but currently it does. I haven't set it for Acolyte, so I'll have to do that. But I believe it's once you get your maximum Arcturum above 50, then you'll have the conditions for them to move in. So that is going to be our first goal here. Now there's a couple different ways that we can do that. There is an armor set that we can get from Runic Armor. It should give us... Maybe I'm misremembering it. Maybe it's the set bonus? Let's see. Runic. Set bonus? No. Okay. So, then we're going to have to go for an Arcturum Crystal. Which I believe... Yeah. So there's 3 tiers of these, and these will increase your maximum Arcturum. So we need to get a Mana Crystal and some Protoplasm. Which we may actually have enough... Yeah, so we can make the Mana Crystal. So let's do that, and then make the Arcturum Crystal right off the bat. So when we use this, our Arcturum will also change. So increases maximum Arcturum capacity by 25, decreases negative cap by 25. So our max will become 75, but our minimum will also become negative 75. Now, the one thing with the class that is also going to have to go under quite a bit of balancing is how the armor sets work. So currently, the Acolyte class is the class with the armor with the least defense, even less than Summoner. So if we do, for instance, a quick look at some of the armor here, in terms of progression, ordered by defense, you have Acolyte armors set all the way through here, and their first hard mode armor set is behind silver armor. in terms of defense. 13. Which, for reference, spider armor is here at 20. This set of armor right here, this is made out of hallowed bars. This is from Golem. And this is the armor set that you get at the end of the game. Like, this is your, yeah, 29 defense. After killing the Moon Lord, you get 29 defense. But the trade-off with that is that the armor will increase your maximum life, which is it's sort of another RPG element that is not really used in Terraria a whole lot, which I find interesting, like increasing your max life, other than, like, you know, the life crystals and the life fruit. But there is, like, RPGs sometimes, instead of increasing defense, they increase your health, which is sort of the route that I wanted to go with the class. Originally, it was going to be all max health, so you would gain like 0 defense from the armor, and it would all be in max health. But after some feedback from the members of my Discord, we decided to give it just a tiny little bit of defense, which, if you're interested in participating in polls of such kind, feel free to join the Discord. The link should be in the description here. So when you have a rune, you can either switch it also by choosing a different one, or you can clear all of your runes by right-clicking with them. And now we're back to just the basic spell. And while I do this, I think, actually, I'm going to turn Journey Mode's time multiplier to 24 so we can get as many NPCs as we can in this time. Demolitionist. Alright, Alexandria the Acolyte. Alright, so I'm going to get a Spelunker Potion. And then we will check out what she's got after we get some of this stuff. Band of Regen, that is going to come in handy later, because we can craft it into an Acolyte accessory. There's also a jungle chest here with Hermes boots. Sweet. And the prefix that they had, actually, if we look at it, otherworldly, plus 5 Arcturum. So now we're at 80. Alright, let's dump our stuff off here. Wow, I will say that Hermes boots, after you've been playing the Paladin class for a while, Hermes boots are kinda wild. Do you have anything good? Ooh, a DPS meter. I'm gonna take that, actually. That will be very helpful for our journey. So the stat also that the Acolyte keeps track of is how much life you've stolen from enemies. So they've got some dialogue options, which you can see their attitude here. I can't and never have been able to raise the dead. Where do people keep getting that idea from? You could be a decent apprentice. How would you like to learn the dark arts? So then for a shop, it looks like she is selling an accessory and a weapon. She also sells the occult tome, in case you haven't gotten your hands on it yet. So I'm also going to get us some money here. That's not the money slot. We will buy a piggy bank. Put all that in there for safekeeping. So she also sells Soul String, which is another Acolyte weapon. But first, let's get to the accessory, Magna Dagger. Occult blades that strike an enemy above 90% life will always critically strike, and it increases the size of occult blades. So if we put this on, and hit this blue slime, it should be a crit. Yeah. Now the next one isn't, and then it goes back to normal critical strike chance rules. But the first hit will always be a critical strike. So we can do it with this too for 26. Yes, and then the next weapon type that we'll be looking at is soul bows. So they do high damage but attack very slowly. They use Arcturum, and then they restore a large amount of health. So for each hit we get with this weapon, it restores 16 life. So let's see if we can find something. It has to be an enemy also, it can't be critters. Alright, here's something. So you hold down the attack button and it charges the bow shot back. Now I missed there at point blank range because I'm good. And that one, you see the arrow shatters and then it sends a little bolt of healing to us. Now it uses a lot of Arcturum for this cost of the healing. And it can set you negative too. So you have to watch out for that. And you might occasionally see something just like that there, where when you kill an enemy, when you're not at full Arcturum, it does the same thing as like dropping mana stars and dropping hearts from enemies occasionally. Occasionally, they will drop the little Arcturum crystals, and they restore Arcturum to you. Currently, it's 5. And as you progress through the game, they'll drop more. Anyway, I don't need to kill these guys. We are going to craft the runic armor set. I guess we need the tungsten or silver bars first. I don't know if we have enough. If not, we should be covered. Now. So, runic armor here. So you can take a look at the stats of the armor here. Increased maximum life by 20. Oh yeah, I wanted to show that too. How the size of the occult blades works. So if we're looking here with the gold of Thame, currently we're reaching just to the doorknob of the door here. Which I can zoom in also to make it a little more clear. And then when we equip this, now our blade is quite a bit bigger. And then if we equip this helmet too, it'll be even yet bigger. Not by a whole lot, not as much as the Magna Dagger, because you get a lot of increase from there. It also gives some basic damage boosts, which is what most of the armor does. Then the set bonus is increased life regen and increased vessel radius. So I'll showcase the vessels now, which are one of the final types of items. So I'll get the basic one, the gem vessel here. If I get a life crystal, and I'm actually going to get the ones we need, and some rubies. So when you craft one, you can see here that it shows it is actually technically an accessory. So as Acolyte, your accessory options are going to be a little bit more limited if you want to use these. So this vessel does 8 damage, it has slow speed, and a radius currently of 11.5 blocks. So if we take off our armor so we don't get that boost anymore, you can see it is 10 blocks. Because the 15% increase is giving us 1.5 blocks more. It uses 1 Arcturum when it attacks enemies, and currently the vessel attitude is unknown. And then every vessel has a little buff that it can give you and your allies. So right now this one increases life regen. And whenever you craft one, it will give it a random attitude. And the attitudes can be anywhere from positive or negative. So I've crafted this one, And currently it is willful, so it can randomly dissipate and reappear sometime later. So when we equip this, you'll see what I mean. Yeah, it disappeared immediately, I think. That's funny, that's bad luck. But when it's on, you see it uses Arcturum, and it damages enemies that are in the radius. So if I step here, it will stop damaging the zombie and stop using Arcturum. These vessels can also get you below the 0 point of your Arcturum. So you have to be careful with that too. If you do not like seeing the radius, also, you can turn the accessory visibility off, and it will just show the little thing. Now, currently, I think willful is making it disappear too often, so I am probably going to nerf that. Now, I wonder why the block radius went down. I'm going to have to investigate that too. So, we will then quickly use some life crystals, and we will probably finish off the episode with a boss fight against King Slime. So, I'll put these in here, and I will craft another one. See, this one here, we got Cowardly this time. Our movement speed is increased as your health lowers. So we're going to use that one instead. Get rid of this one. Now, the rune we're probably going to be going with for the Eye of Cthulhu, probably going to be using Rune of Fire. There is an item that we can get. I don't remember what it is called, though, so we'll do this. Yeah, okay. So in spider biomes, if you find a spider biome, you can kill enough spiders, and they will have a chance to drop an egg sac, which is actually the first item we're going to see if we can go after. If we can find a spider biome. Granite biome. Granite biome is another good place to be. So if we turn the spawn rates up really fast, temporarily, then we'll start to get some granite enemies, which have a chance to drop an item, which is another vessel. So we can get that here. I know the drop chance for it is pretty low, but I've recently fixed it as a bug where it was, well, not a bug, just balancing as not where I wanted it to be. So, I will see if I can get it here, and if not, I know that one is a good drop chance already, so I will not spend too long here. Alright, I got one here. So, oh, this is willful again. Cool. I think I am going to switch that. So we'll give us another one here. Alright, let's get out of this cave here. So this one is Vengeful. So, weapon damage is increased. However, defense and Arcturum regeneration are reduced. So, I actually will be using that still, because it's a much larger radius. It does less damage, but the main thing we want from this is, well, inside the vessel's radius, we get protected by floating granite boulders. So you can see one floating around us now, and each one gives us 3 defense. So, as we get another one, now we're at 16. So the decreased defense we get from this is not as big of an issue now, actually. And when you take damage, they'll break. Just like that. I gave us some lesser healing potions, and I got our slime crowns too. We're still rocking the fire one, because knockback will not really matter for King Slime. And I think we're all good. I'm going to eat another spaghetti, and we'll get going. Another thing to note about the vessels is they will also use Arcturum, not just while enemies are in their radius, but while allies are in their radius too. So when you are buffing your allies, you also have to be careful of that too. Actually, see if we can get some Arcturum back here. Now, like I said, the Arcturum regenerates pretty slow, and even now slower because of the attitude that our Spectre has. When your health lowers, it will increase the regeneration for it. So we gotta actually take some damage here. We also don't want to die though. Get out of their way so we can have it regen here. We could also just turn it off so we can still deal some damage. Need some life steal. Alright, we got him. So, yeah. That went pretty well. I didn't really get anything we really needed here. But, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, that went pretty well. I liked where we were at in terms of damage. I might... Why is this stealing so much? Is it because of our items? 25. Oh, yeah. We have the vengeful weapon damage increase. Alright. Yeah, so that was sort of a good trade-off there, I would say then. I didn't really notice the reduced defense a whole lot. Let's see. 4 by 1. Interesting. I guess we had some potions active too. That's fine. I liked where we were at damage-wise, so I think starting game stuff is pretty good. At least the basics here. But that will probably be the end of this special first episode. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe. And if you're interested in supporting me at all, either join the Discord or check me out on Patreon, both linked in the description below. Alright, have a good rest of your day. Bye.